Welcome, warriors and wanderers, to the Valhalla Experience. Today, we set sail through history itself to speak of the most famous Vikings who ever lived. These were kings, raiders, explorers, and settlers whose deeds left their mark not just in sagas, but in the very pages of history. From Harald Fairhair uniting Norway, to Leif Erikson crossing the seas to Vinland, to fierce leaders like Harald Hardrada and cunning warriors like Ivar the Boneless. These names carved their legacy with axe, shield, and courage. Join Odin and me as we separate truth from tale and honor the Vikings who shaped the world. Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving deep into the saga of the Viking legends. Figures whose feats have shaped history and our imaginations alike.
Absolutely. It's a blend of raw history and mythic storytelling that grabs you right from the start.
Right. We've got authoritative leaders like Harald Fairhair, who, unified Norway in the late 9th century. He laid down the foundation of what would become a long-lasting Norwegian monarchy.
And then there is Harald Hardrada, whose adventures with the Varangian Guard took him all over Europe. His final battle at Stamford Bridge in 1066 was, well, it marked the dramatic end of the Viking Age.
Exactly. And speaking of drama, there's Gangarolv, better known in some circles as Rollo. He didn't just lead raids. He went on to settle Normandy, and basically became the first duke there in the early 10th century, setting the stage for future legends like William the Conqueror.
When you think about it, it's like these leaders were not just warriors, but, strategic architects of entire kingdoms. They transformed chaos into, well, structured societies.
Yep, and moving into the realm of warriors. Take Ivar the Boneless, for example. He led the great heathen army into England and was known for his, ruthless tactics.
His story sparked debates because his moniker, the Boneless itself, has so many interpretations, doesn't it?
It does. And then there's Björn Ironside. His raids crossed boundaries into France, Spain, and even the Mediterranean. His exploits are said to have paved the way for later Swedish royal lines.
And of course, Ragnar Lodbrok. His saga, though a blend of fact and a lot of legend, is legendary in its own right, especially with tales of his sons carrying his legacy into history.
Ragnar is one of those figures where history and saga really merge. Now, speaking of sagas, Gunnar Hamundarson from Njal's saga pops up, a figure known for his archery skill, charm, and a tragic personal feud.
Right. He's more of a symbolic hero than a confirmed historical figure, representing the ideals of honor and fate that Vikings cherished.
Exactly. It's like he embodies the spirit of what the Vikings stood for. Bravery and the harsh realities of their world.
And shifting gears from warriors to explorers, we can't overlook Eric the Red. His fiery temper and exile led him to found Norse settlements in Greenland, which is like quite a journey in itself.
And then there's Leif Erikson, arguably the first European to set foot on North American soil around 1000 CE.
Yeah.
That discovery really rewrote what we know about pre-Columbian transatlantic travel.
It's so fascinating that both Eric the Red and Leif Erikson pushed the boundaries of the known world in such bold ways.
And let's not forget Freydís Eiríksdóttir, daughter of Eric the Red. Her bravery in the Vinland sagas, defending Norse settlers, is as compelling as it is rare for female figures in these accounts.
True, her story really challenges the stereotype of Viking history being solely about male warriors.
Now, as we pivot to Viking kings and empires, we encounter Cnut the Great. He wasn't just a ruler. He was king of England, Denmark, and Norway. A unifier of a North Sea empire that brought a kind of, stability and prosperity to the region.
Correct. Cnut's reign is like a masterclass in political consolidation and rule over vast territories, blending both Viking traditions and emerging medieval sensibilities.
And then we have Olaf II, often referred to as Saint Olaf. He was pivotal in Christianizing Norway, a significant turning point that redefined the cultural landscape of the region.
It's interesting how his transformation from a warrior king to a national saint captures the evolution of Viking identity over time.
Right, and that shift from paganism to Christianity is almost symbolic of the broader transformation in European history during that time period.
I have to say, though, while it's all romantic to think of these legends as seamlessly transitioning people into a new era, sometimes I wonder if the narrative oversimplifies the conflict between old and new beliefs.
That's a solid point. It, glosses over the friction and, the actual cultural clashing that must have occurred as old traditions gave way to new ideas.
Yeah.
It's not all a neat transformation.
Definitely. And that tension is part of what makes these historical narratives so rich. They're not just heroic tales. They're also about societal shifts, internal conflicts, and adaptation.
Speaking of adaptation, the legacy of these figures extends way beyond their own lifetimes. Their exploits and legends have been passed down, mixing fact and folklore. It's this blend that continues to inspire modern innovations in literature, film, and even video games.
Right, it's like the Vikings have become cultural icons, symbols of fearlessness, exploration, and rebellion against norms.
And we see that even today. Their stories urge us to question boundaries and, dare to conquer the unknown.
And that's exactly the kind of energy that resonates with so many people, prompting discussions about leadership, honor, and even political strategy in our time.
Yeah, it's like each figure, whether it's Harald Fairhair with his unification of Norway, or Leif Erikson with his adventurous spirit, represents different facets of power and legacy.
I find it really cool how these historical and saga figures offer lessons in both governance and personal bravery. But, sometimes I think there's a risk of romanticizing the brutality of their times.
Absolutely. That's an important critique. We must balance admiration for their achievements with a realistic understanding of the, violence and hardship that were integral to that era. It's a double-edged sword.
And that duality makes the study of Viking history so gripping. They were both pioneers, and at times ruthless raiders.
Exactly. A fascinating paradox. Innovative navigators who establish new settlements and empires, while also engaging in brutal raids that, reshaped parts of Europe.
Ain't that something? It's like each Viking leader carried within them the capacity for both creation and destruction.
Right on, and when you look at their legacy today, you see echoes in everything from European borders to modern pop culture. They've become almost mythic in scale.
It's interesting how specific events like Harald Hardrada's fall at Stamford Bridge not only ended an era, but also set the stage for entirely new historical dynamics in medieval Europe.
Absolutely. That crossroads moment at Stamford Bridge reminds us that history is full of turning points, where the stakes are literally life or death.
And those moments give us insight into how technology, warfare, and even diplomacy were, interpreted and evolved over time.
Right, and as we wrap up our exploration, it's fascinating to think about how these leaders, the warriors, the explorers, the kings, continue to influence our cultural landscape. Their stories are a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Vikings.
For sure. And while legends may embellish the actual events, there is no denying that these figures shaped not only the history of Europe, but also the very idea of what it means to be bold.
Exactly. A legacy of boldness, exploration, and sometimes brutal realism. It's a reminder that history is as complex as it is inspiring.
Well said. And for anyone out there inspired by these epic accounts, remember, it's not just about the raid. It's about understanding the choices and their consequences that led to the world we know today.
Absolutely. And as we finish up, think about this. Every historical figure has a multifaceted story, just like these Viking legends. Let that spark your own exploration into the mix of fact and legend.
Truly. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, you might want to, raid that like button and explore more of history's untold stories.
Right, so here's to the fierce, wild, and, timeless spirit of the Vikings. Figures who remind us that while legends might embellish reality, their impact on our world is undeniably real.
And that's a wrap on our journey through the saga of the most famous Vikings in history. Thanks for joining in on this epic conversation.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and who knows, you might just discover another piece of history waiting to be unraveled.
Cheers to that, and see you next time.